Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and yes, we've got ourselves yet another round of Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire figures to check out. We've got ourselves the Jada Toys Metalfigs. Now these are basically just keychains, but they do have some really cool, very nicely sculpted, but somewhat exaggerated looking figures. And the fact that they are by Jada Toys, I was really intrigued by these because the RC Godzilla, in my opinion, is still the reigning champ of this line. It absolutely is the single best figure that we have so far for this line. So I'm pretty excited to actually have these here. Obviously, you can tell we've got Shimo, we have Godzilla, of course, Kong, and Skar King. And the packaging looks pretty cool. You can see a nice kind of a window area where you can see the figure, of course, the Godzilla X Kong logo. And then when we turn it around here to the back, obviously, our Shimo has a little bit of a beat up packaging. But we have Godzilla, Kong, Skar King, and Shimo here on the back. I do want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to my good friend Matthew, who was awesome and sent me Shimo and Godzilla as a gift, you know, just out of the kindness of his heart. And I found Kong and Skar King myself. But again, a huge thank you to him. Super awesome. Always doing really nice things for me like that. So let's go ahead, pop all of these out of the packaging, and we'll jump straight to a closer look at them right now. So starting with Skar King, you can see he's absolutely got quite the interesting look to him. You can see that the inside of his mouth does sport his teeth painted, if my camera would focus on it. And you can also see his gums. I think it looks a little bit strange. I think the gums could have had a pink tone because the gums appear to have like the same reddish tone in his body color as we have for the Skar King. So it kind of looks more like a red-orange, actually, so it kind of looks a little bit strange. But you can see that his snout is sculpted pretty nicely, the nostrils sculpted nicely as well. You can obviously see we have a darker variation of a red here for his head as you move up. The eyes are also really nicely painted. You can see painted with a blue, given a black pupil, and the detail looks pretty darn nice as you move through the figure. Obviously, as we lead back here, we have a red-orange rather than that dark red we see in the face. So I'm already really quite liking this figure. I think the pose is also kind of creepy looking. Like the way his head's kind of hunched over and his arms are just dangling. Looks quite eerie for this figure. But I will say I am a huge fan of Jada Toys, and I'm becoming a bigger fan more and more with the stuff that I enter into my collection. It really seems like they don't ever skimp out in any way, shape, or form. Like they strive to give you the best possible product continuously, which you can just see such a drastic difference, I think, in the quality of something like this compared to what we're seeing with the Playmates line. Now, of course, I know the Playmates line is for kids, but, you know, this is also placed in the toy section for kids, so you can just see such a huge improvement, I think, when it comes to the sculpt and paint of this figure over the Playmate stuff. You can also see again the whiplash here moving along the back, obviously up and over the shoulder like we've seen portrayed the entire time. The keychain is just kind of dangling here, the chain itself, and you can see the muscle definition of our Skar King is nicely displayed through the course of the figure. The fur looks great. You can see the muscle definition here moving down the arm, and again the arms themselves are also nicely sculpted. I will say, just like with the others though, the texturing of the skin here in the arms and hands is really smoothed out. Same thing we saw on the Playmates figures. I'm starting to wonder if that is the way that Skar King looks in the film. You can also see again that we have that sort of like actually like a light gray that we see on the arms and in the face. You can see we also have up there in the chest, and then as you move down you also see the same for the toes. So the figure is, oh, we actually also have that on the underside. But the figure is really quite cool. I definitely am a fan of the Skar King. I think the mouth looks a little goofy, but outside of that, it's a very cool figure. And then we've got ourselves Kong. Now, Kong has, I think, the most exaggerated look of all of them. For some reason, his head is just huge, and specifically his mouth seems even larger. And although we do have variation of color to Kong, like the gray here in the face is a bit of a lighter shade, I feel like it doesn't stand out quite as much as we've seen with the Playmates figures. Like specifically when you look at the mini from Playmates compared to this, I think Playmates actually did a better job on the painting of their figure than this version here from Jada Toys, which is pretty impressive to say. But you can see they've caught like the basic likeness of Kong and just really exaggerated his features. And obviously you can see the teeth are sculpted and painted. We don't really have like the fang kind of like look that we have for Kong on the inside of the mouth. I mean, he's sort of, if actually, let me grab the mini from Playmates and bring that one in. You can see how he has kind of like those fangs on the inside of the mouth, like his teeth just look more Kong-like on the Playmates version compared to this version from Jada Toys. You can see, though, that we do have that variation of color in the stomach region. You can see the musculature, the abs, and everything of Kong. I think the actual detailing is a little muted on this one compared to even the Skar King. I feel like the Skar King had better, more vibrant detail than our Kong does. He doesn't look bad. He has, you know, all the stuff that you would like to see, like the musculature and everything. However, he is missing the glove, but of course I would imagine Kong doesn't have that the entire way through the film. So it still is okay, but, you know, it's something that I did want to mention is the fact that he doesn't have the glove on, that beast glove. But the Kong is okay, I would say, looking like the weak link, though, for this set. Then we've got ourselves the Shimo, and man, the Shimo is actually really nicely done. I would say the best Shimo on the market right now. I would definitely like to see Jada Toys create a toy line for this film, because look at how good their figure looks. First of all, the eye paint looks really nice. We have the inside of the nostrils painted. The teeth kind of look like they're painted. Yeah, they definitely are, actually. They are a different tone of color compared to what we see on the face. The teeth look just generally way better than we see on any of the Playmates figures. And all of these kind of crystal-like spines leading off of the top of the head are all painted out here, moving along the head of our Shimo. And look at how good the detail looks. It absolutely shows off the skin texture perfectly on this figure, and it's very vibrant, looks great as you move through. The spines, again, look very nice here, all painted with that purplish tone moving along the back. The entire thing has kind of a nice shine to it, giving it that metallic type of look. It is a metal figure, but it has a very cool shine to it overall. And the nails are painted, so I assume that means that the nails are a different color compared to the rest of the body, which means that the Playmates version just doesn't have nail paint, whereas this one does, all through the fingers, all through the toes, and that also looks really nice. And actually, if I remember correctly, it looks like we have more digits on the hand of this one compared to what we saw on the Playmates version. Now, I could be incorrect, but I'm feeling like we do have more digits on the hands of this one. And then you lead down, we can see the tail curves back around. I don't know exactly what the tail length is for Shimo, so I don't know for sure if this is accurate, but again, the figure is very exaggerated when it comes to the proportions and stuff, so I don't expect it, nor do I need it to be completely accurate. But that is a really cool figure, definitely a very nice figure on the part of Jada Toys. Kind of looks like even the inside of the mouth is painted, but it's a little hard to get in there and see. But that is absolutely my favorite Shimo figure so far. And then we've got ourselves the evolved Godzilla from Jada Toys, and again, sculpt-wise, I think it looks really good. The detail looks nice and crisp as well. Maybe not quite as crisp as Shimo, but still quite nice. We've got, again, the very exaggerated, goofy kind of proportions. I will say the teeth don't look so great on this one. Obviously, the teeth wow, really bad over here, almost giving him kind of like a snarling sort of a look, but it just doesn't look that great when it comes to the paintwork of the teeth. It is a little sloppy, a little jumbled through the entire inside of the mouth, but the inside of the mouth is painted. Obviously, the tongue's painted. You could see the gums in certain areas. You can see, there we go, the gums are painted and stuff. The eyes do look a lot better on this figure as well compared to the Playmates versions, but the eyes still look a little big to me. The nails are painted. We do have a light tone here kind of moving along the underside, does run all the way out there through the course of the tail. The nails are painted on the feet, and we obviously have the spines painted with that pinkish tone. Not all of them, though. You can see some of them also have the dark tone of Godzilla himself, but obviously some are painted here. The ones on the elbow are also painted, and then leading out through the tail. The tail actually has a little bit of a different look to it compared to what we've seen with some of the others, which is interesting. Also, something to take note of is the figure itself is a nice metal, but as you move down to the tail is actually a little flexible, so obviously a rubber for the tail. But the figure does have a very cool appearance to it, a very nice appearance, obviously. Again, very exaggerated, but looking extremely, extremely cool. Not near as, of course, awesome as their RC Godzilla, but when it comes to a minifigure version of an exaggerated Godzilla, it is absolutely awesome, if you ask me. Now, as you can see, the figures are all pretty much the same size. They don't really differ much in the way of size, so we're only really going to get a height. I would say they are right around 2¼ inches or around 5½ centimeters, somewhere in that vicinity. Yeah, it seems like that's pretty much the general area for most. So right around in that area as far as a size goes. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our Jada Toys Godzilla X Kong Metalfigs, and you can see that they are quite small. Again, pretty much where I expected them to be, so not very large, definitely in the minifigure size range. And then when it comes to a comparison next to their Playmates counterparts, you can see again that the Metalfigs, for the most part, are a little bit bigger than you get for the Playmates minis. Obviously, just a little bit bulkier, very different when it comes to the kind of stylized proportions and stuff. But in my opinion, the Jada Toys versions are, for the most part, better. The only one from the Playmates line I would say is better would be their Kong. I think looks a little better than the Jada Toys version, but the Skar King's kind of up in the air. The Godzilla and Shimo, though, are definitely way nicer in the Jada Toys versions. And then we've also got two Mattel Jurassic World minifigures coming in here for one final comparison next to our Jada Toys Godzilla X Kong Metalfigs. So honestly, these are all really cool figures. I think the weakest link here, which is weird because it's the total opposite when it comes to the Playmates figures, but I think the weakest link is Kong. I think he just looks a little bit off. I don't know what it is about him. He just looks strange to me. And even though he is still, again, meant to have that kind of stylized look, which he definitely does, there are just some areas that look like they could have been improved. Like the detailing is kind of muted, the mouth not looking like it has the correct type of teeth, and the coloration just being off a little bit. He's also missing his scars and stuff, which, considering how much paintwork the others have, I'm surprised that this one doesn't really have that stuff. Makes the Kong, in my opinion, the weakest link of the bunch, but still pretty decent. The Skar King does look really cool. I love his pose. He has a very creepy and ominous look to him in the pose that he's in. The sculpt looks nice. The detail looks nice. The paintwork also looks really quite nice. The only thing off about Skar King would be the mouth looking a little weird with the coloration of the gums, but still a fairly decent looking version, and of course again quite exaggerated. The Godzilla I think looks great besides the teeth. The teeth are very sloppy when it comes to the paintwork, but moving past that point, it looks really cool. And of course, being a metal fig with the kind of metallic look and the way it shines, it does have a very, very nice standout sort of appearance to it. So absolutely a very cool figure there. And the Shimo is definitely my favorite Shimo out right now. The sculpt looks really cool, very vibrant, shows off all the detail of Shimo really nicely. The paintwork is very nice and precise, way better honestly than I think any of the other figures in this line, and just generally is a very cool looking version of that creature. So overall, these are really fun and definitely worth picking up, and they're actually also quite cheap. They're only like $4.50 or $4.47, something random at Walmart. So that's a whole lot of quality packed into a fairly cheap price tag. They're actually, a few dollars cheaper than the Playmates minis, and way better if you ask me, for the most part. So if you are interested, check your local Walmart, or of course check the link that I will include in the description to where you can purchase them on the website of Walmart as well. And of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.